All attendees are in listen-only mode.
All right, welcome everyone. I'm so excited to get to share with you all that I've been learning and synthesizing and incorporating into my own life. And as far as health and insights and things I've been learning in medical school, and the best practices to be effective and efficient and most importantly, energized in your day-to-day life. My name is Amber, for those of you who don't know me, and this is Your Best Year Energy: Eat, Move, Integrate, and Invest. So thank you for joining me. And can I just get a shout out in the chat box? Can you say yes if you can hear me, if you can see the screen, if everything's going all right on your end? That'd be great. Just give me a big yes if you can see everything. And then we'll get moving. I know there's a couple people still entering into the webinar here. All right, so here's what we're going to cover today. We're going to cover the perfect energy day, what I would do to have perfect energy in a day, and the stress response, what your body does in response to all the things that we experience on a daily basis. We're also going to discuss mindset and this new concept that I'm excited to share with you guys called a dream plan, and also cover productivity as it relates to business and how to be more effective and use your time wisely. And then also how to tackle stress before it tackles you. So here we go, the game plan. I'm going to tell you a little bit of my story and my own health journey and how I had gotten started with naturopathic medicine. Whoop. Let's go back into that. Can you all see my screen here? Give me a shout out yes if you can see the screen. Perfect. Okay, so my story, we're going to talk about stress. We're also going to talk about the perfect energy day and what to do when you hit that afternoon slump that most people go through to get energized and kind of beat the tiredness that sets in. We're also going to talk about mindset and how to create a dream plan and what that means for your life, and also productivity hacks in health and business, and then we're going to come to a close. So there's a little guideline for you guys. All right. So a little bit about me. I am 24 years old. I was educated back in Minnesota. I got an associate's degree and also a bachelor's degree in biology. And I had tutored at two universities in that time, both of those schools that I went to. And I had moved to Seattle in 2013 to pursue medical school, naturopathic medicine. And I'm just loving it here and growing a ton, learning a lot about my own life and health and productivity and so much. So I ran my first half marathon in Seattle during my most stressful quarter of medical school. So that's just a testament to lifestyle and diet and the way that that has impacted my own life and why I'm so excited to share with you some tips and tricks here. And please feel free to throw in any questions. If I cover anything too fast, please throw that in the chat box. If you want me to repeat something or if you have a question about anything, I'd be happy to answer that throughout the seminar at the end. So I want to tell you a little bit about my story. It goes back to my childhood, and I didn't grow up eating incredible food, organic things. I ate McDonald's. I had a terrible diet growing up, and I loved pop. My grandparents always gave us pop when we went over there. And I just couldn't understand for the life of me why my mom would eat salads. And I loved all of the quick foods and sugary cereals. And that was pretty much my life up until probably 10th or 11th grade in high school. And in my late teens, I had pretty terrible acne. And I felt fatigued constantly. And I would come home after high school, I vividly remember this, feeling just, hungry initially, and I would have quick carbs and ice cream and crackers, cereal, chips, foods like these, and a wave of tiredness would come over me. And it would almost put me into like a comatose state, feeling like I need to nap. I'm so exhausted. And I had no idea about the physiology of my body and how the foods were affecting me and my energy levels. And I also had a job at a flower shop after my high school classes were over, and I had to go to work. And I just remember feeling so exhausted and lethargic and not being able to really enjoy my school or my work and put my best effort into it. And it was probably about 11th grade when I started looking into and learning the repercussions of my diet and what I was eating and how I was failing to give my body real nutrition. And it was probably about that point that I started altering a lot of my inputs and eating higher vegetables and a lot more protein. I cut out the soda, the quick carbs, bread in larger part. Started supplementing with probiotics and fish oil and just, really changing my mindset around my own well-being. And then college came around, and this was really my defining moment in life. And I started juicing during this time, and that is where my health really improved and my energy really improved. And that was just my own personal experience. My skin got so much better. The acne went away. The scarring went away. I just felt like I had focus of a hawk. I had this 2-hour lecture class, and it was statistics. It wasn't super interesting, and I just had the focus of a hawk through that class. And I thought, wow, how did I not figure this out before? And what a huge difference it made in my life. And then also I was pursuing a pre-med track at that point in time in school, in college. And I was job chatting with some MDs and trying to figure out what I really wanted to do with my life. And through the process of that, job chatting with MDs and sitting in on cases and patients, and really feeling like people weren't getting better, and that they'd come in on prescription drugs and leave with an eighth one on top of the 7 they came in with, and I just didn't see that as something that I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And there's such need, and I applaud. We need medicine, and it's incredible in so many ways. But I found naturopathic medicine after my experience job shadowing, kind of as a result of that, and job shadowed with a naturopathic doctor in Fargo, North Dakota, and just really fell in love with the way that it was a husband and wife, and the way that the doctor connected with his patients over an hour and a half long talk with them about everything about their mind, their spirit, their relationships, their diet, everything. And I just loved that, and loved all of the modalities, the different methods of treatment, and taking a more natural route and having the botanicals and herbs and things to rely on as well. So that was super transformative and really defining for my life. And now I'm at a point, I'm in my second year of school with several years left, and I created this website called Thrive Plus Well, and really My motivation for that is to transmit what I'm learning in medical school into a tangible way, to little tidbits that can improve your life, can improve your productivity, can just really boost what you know in a minimal way, not having to read tons of papers and articles and search through what is really best for me to eat for my energy, and to really, it's called like biohacking and making your body efficient and really living with optimal energy. So this is a project that it's kind of like my personal passion project right now, and I encourage you to check it out. And then this quote here is something that really spoke to me, how so many people spend their health gaining their wealth, and then they have to spend their wealth to regain their health later in life. And I've seen this true in many people that I know, and CEOs, and how your health, gosh, it really is your greatest wealth. It is. And nothing is worth more than keeping that and having this sense of well-being on a daily basis. And because that amplifies your work, your relationships, everything kind of rides on that component of you feeling well emotionally, physically, spiritually. So that's a little bit of my story. This is a principle that is a part of naturopathic medicine that I love. It's called Tolle Totem. It's Latin, actually, and it means to treat the whole. And essentially, it's taking into account the mind, the body, the spirit, everything as a part of health. And so multifactorial, that we are not just a mind, we're not just a body, and that sometimes in medicine we separate all those things out. We separate, a psychologist and a gastroenterologist, but really we're one whole being, and we need to address everything for wellness. Okay, let's talk about stress. Yes, I'm very familiar with this, and as a medical student, and I'm sure you guys are as well, in this day and age. So stress on cellular function. Stress it's a silent killer. It's one of the big things that is behind so many illnesses and diseases today. Mental, emotional stress, also dietary stress, environmental stress, so many different types of stress on our body and our mind. So some of the diagnostics, so we talked about medicine, is it increases your pulse rate, increases your blood pressure. It can actually harm your gut flora when you're stressed all the time. Harms your brain. It's harder to learn. And there's actually a study out of the University of California, Berkeley, where they found people in a chronic state of stress had more myelin, which means they had slower nerve sending, and they had less neurons, which means they had less neurons actually transmit information and the thoughts in your brain. So essentially they were able to think slower because of the chronic stress upon their body. And I've definitely experienced that as a part of medical school and trying to cram more information into your brain when there's a lot of stressful events going. It does not work well. And it also puts us in this hyper-vigilant state where we're always on, our mind is always churning about what to get done and what to do, and it comes out of fear and worry sometimes, and sometimes it's a good thing, we're planning ahead, but oftentimes it can lead us to a place of fear and worry. And what's cool is that a lot of studies in medicine is shifting to something called quantum physics. The old type of medicine was Newtonian physics, based on Newtonian theory, but medicine is now shifting to quantum physics, which means talking about the frequency of your mind and the frequency of your cells, and how your mind and your mind, they can actually use computers to find the frequency of your thoughts, and they can do the same thing for your cells. So how incredible that they actually find this connection, which they call the mind-body connection between your mind and your cells, and how when you're stressed out all the time, what are your cells doing in that state? It's just a really interesting thought. And that we can also be stressed and not even know it. Could be our digestion for consuming a food that we don't even know is stressing us. Also, a statement from Johns Hopkins University says the typical American goes through more physical, chemical, and emotional stress in 30 days than their grandparents did in their lifetime. It's pretty amazing. Okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, if you have a piece of paper out, you might want to utilize it at this point. Or if you have a virtual note-taking device, I like Evernote. Highly recommend that if you guys do not know about Evernote. So let's run through here. The first step to identifying your stress to experiencing less. So on an average Monday, what's your stress level? On a scale of 1 to 10, or an average weekday, what do you think it is? Does it vary through different times of the year? And also just think about what time of day. Like, is it the morning that you're just rushing to get out of the door? Is it noontime when there's a lot of traffic and you're trying to get errands done? Or is it a night, like 9, 10 p.m., where actually all of these thoughts of stress and what you need to finish this week or tomorrow are coming at you? So just to identify the time, and in identifying the time, to target that time to maybe do some deep breathing, and we're going to talk about some strategies to deal with stress. So how about your stress coping strategies on a scale of 1 to 10? Where do you think you are at right now? Just write that number down. And then also 3 things that are stressing you currently. And this has been really big for me in writing down, like, if I'm just sitting there and I'm thinking and I'm worrying about something, it helps to just write the 3 things down or the 5 things down that are on my mind or worrying me, and then think about what can I do to resolve that, or think that there's nothing that I can do at this point in time to resolve that, so I'm going to let that go. I think there's just power in identifying your own thoughts and seeing it on paper before you. So write those 3 down, and you can also complete that after the webinar as well if you need more time. So let's talk about how to tackle stress before it tackles you. So here's a couple surprising sources of stress that you probably do not know about. One of them is magnesium deficiency. So magnesium in your body is necessary to transport energy, right? And it's also important in your body's ability to regulate cortisol. This enzyme it's a hormone, called cortisol. And cortisol is a stress hormone. It tells your body, store fat, or stressed out right now. It's not all bad. We need cortisol, but in excess, it can be harmful. So you can imagine if we're low in magnesium, our body is going to have havoc levels of cortisol, which is going to make us feel mentally stressed. So that could be one thing. Also, leaky gut. Essentially, this is where the cells in your intestines, they're kind of butted up next to each other, and they have this tight connection, and sometimes food can slip in between them, and the actual cell can be broken down or eroded or somehow harmed. And this can actually affect the gut flora in your gut. So the bacteria, the good bacteria, in your gut. And that can be a big problem because it can make you feel stressed. It can alter your brain and some of the neurotransmitters. There's actually more neurotransmitters created in your gut than there is in your brain, which is amazing. So you can imagine why it's so important to have a strong, resilient, healthy gut lining with good bacteria, because that can actually contribute to, your mental happiness if you're creating the right neurotransmitters. And also adrenal fatigue. So your adrenal glands are these little glands they weigh less than a grape. They're pretty small, but they are a huge player in your managing of stress. And consuming a lot of caffeine can overstimulate them, put them into an overstimulated mode all the time, and they can get tired and really leave you at this blah, really fatigued state. So something we want to avoid. Also, too few omega-3s, which are anti-inflammatory in the body, and salmon has omega-3s. There's many other sources, fish oils, but they can lower the amount of inflammation if you're consuming omega-3s. And then also undetected food sensitivities. So there could be things in our diets that are affecting us, our energy levels. Say we eat eggs or something in the morning, and later in the day or after that we have a stuffy nose, and we're like, why do I have such a stuffy nose? Why is that? And really connecting those symptoms back to what we're eating can be difficult sometimes to trace, but certain foods that we could be eating, it's actually causing our body a physical stress that is comparable to a mental stress. So just to be aware of that. And I love this thought about viewing energy through tranquility and rest versus the way that our world really approaches energy is through stimulation and continual happenings and occurrences, and always run, 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 go, 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 all these things happening. But just, have you ever been around somebody who just has this peace and glow to them, that they're at rest, but they're so connected and aware, and they just have this tranquility about them? It's not exhaustion, they're not tired, but they have a special type of energy that's different than being so high wired. So just a thought for you about energy. Okay, let's talk about your adrenal glands here. So we mentioned them before. They help your body mediate stress, and they control whether your body stores fat or burns it, which is very important to us, most of us. And so this can be really interesting when people are over caffeinating and trying to lose weight, which I actually have personal experience doing, which is why it's really intriguing to me. So drinking caffeine in the morning and then going for a run, caffeine, drinking a cup of coffee, and then going for an intense workout or something, they both increase your cortisol. And you need cortisol. Cortisol is a hormone that we need in our body, but not in excess. So moving on, stress can be worry, but other things that can stress your body is actually low blood sugar. And if you ever had coffee in the morning or caffeine in the morning, and about an hour or two later you feel exhausted, or you feel kind of a little bit hangry, hungry, and angry, or a muffin in the morning, and that low blood sugar is actually a stress to your body, and caffeine can do that. It can spike your insulin level and then let it fall off. Also, excessive exercise. super long distance running is something that can increase cortisol in your body to a huge extent. And poor quality sleep can affect us as well, because sleep is the fountain of youth. It's when your body repairs itself. Think about, the skin around your eyes and the skin on your face and your heart muscle and just the cells in your intestines, that those are all being repaired and rejuvenated, and the waste products are being taken out as you sleep. So not getting enough sleep can actually be a big stress on your body. And then when thinking about caffeination, think long term. Think you don't want to wear out your adrenals. You don't want to have adrenal fatigue. It's not wrong to have coffee or caffeine, and I'm not against that. But if you have coffee, make sure that you drink water first in the morning. Otherwise, you'll actually feel more exhausted because you're essentially, think about your cell. There's water in it, and coffee is a diuretic, so you're like squeezing more water out, and your body is already so dehydrated in the morning. So always drink water before you have your caffeine, and you'll feel better than if you didn't. So there's a good tip. A quote that I really like that I heard is that caffeine is to energy as credit cards are to financial health. It's pretty good, right? So you want to think long term about your overall well-being of your adrenal glands. You don't want to end up at a place where you're so exhausted after a 3-month period of drinking so much caffeine. You really want to steward your energy levels. Okay, so let's talk about the perfect energy day now. It starts at night. Okay, so sleep before 10 p.m. Preferably if you get to bed before 11 is best. It's most restful because you're releasing human growth hormone, HGH. That's what that stands for. So ideally, and this is what I would do in a perfect day. This is ideal. I mean, it's going to look different for everyone, but this is kind of my ideal. So rest from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. You're getting that hit of human growth hormone that happens. You actually get more human growth hormone before midnight. So that's why you want to be in bed, probably 10 or 11, before 11 for sure. Drinking apple cider vinegar before bed. I drink it before bed, and it actually makes me feel revitalized in the morning. But it's actually really good before meals because it has the enzymes and just jam-packed. It's a fermented beverage, so good for rejuvenation, and it's like an overall tonic for your body. So I really recommend that. That's made a big difference in my own health and digestion and sleep. Also in the morning, drink hot water with lemon. This is awesome because it stimulates phase 1 and phase 2 liver detox, okay? So it gets your digestion tract moving in the morning, and many times we feel tired because our digestion is not moving properly, and then it's sluggish, and our mind is sluggish, and because a lot of our neurotransmitters, a lot of our happy chemicals come from our gut, we need to keep our gut moving, flowing, happy, and yeah, really keeping that going. So greens, this is one thing that I love in the morning, and I highly recommend. This is what I use. You can buy it on Amazon or anywhere. I don't rep it or anything, but this is probably the best one that I've found. And I love it because it says it has more greens per serving than any green food supplement that you can buy, but there's tons of green food supplements that you can buy on the market. This is just the one I use. There's also probiotics in the greens powder, which is awesome. Okay, so let's keep moving on here. The perfect energy day continued. A morning sweat is the best. Gets your body moving. HIIT is something called high intensity interval training. For anybody who does not know about that acronym, I guess. So essentially that is doing bursts of activity. You can do it on an elliptical, you can do it on a treadmill, and you're just doing a minute really fast and intense and then a minute recovery, a minute really fast and intense and a minute recovery. And you do that for 20, 30 minutes, you're exhausted, your workout's done. It's incredible. It helps you release growth hormone in higher amounts at night. Growth hormone, let me talk a little bit about that, is the fountain of youth. It helps your skin repair, it helps your muscles. It's really, it's a very youthful hormone. So you want to be doing those intervals in order to keep yourself secreting that. And then you want to get to bed before 11 p.m. so that you are maximizing your human growth hormone. Insanity is another option. It's a CD, or you can actually get a little clip on YouTube for like 20 minutes for intense workout. Yoga is great. It's getting your body, your digestion moving. Go for a walk, lift weights, some other options. So let's talk about posture. Gosh, this is something that I've noticed is so important in my own life and is really important for anybody who is at a desk or is in one position for most of the day. And what you want to do is you want to have your shoulders back, core engaged, have your head not lean, not jerk forward. And then it's actually helpful to have your knees below your hips. So if you have your knees a little bit lower than your hips, that's helpful, and your feet flat on the floor. Something really interesting that I learned from the University of California, I think it's Berkeley, the director of physical medicine had said that if you have a forward head posture, which a lot of us do when we're at a computer, we're always leaning forward and our neck is kind of jutted out, that can actually pull your entire spine out of alignment, and it can decrease your lung capacity by 30%, which is a lot if you think about the oxygen that your body needs. And oxygen is really why you feel energized during the day. If you're not getting enough oxygen, that could be a major factor. So really being aware, and I'm preaching to the choir, I'm preaching to myself, in having your computer or your interface or your book at an eye level, which is where my computer is about right now. And so that you're not jerking your head forward and you're not always looking down, you're not always looking way up at the ceiling to view. And then as far as meals, this is the win complex here, is these three things, I guess 4 things, including a lean protein, a complex carbohydrate, and a healthy plant fat. And then also a digestive, and I'll explain what that is. A digestive is something that's either living, it's a living food like a fruit or a vegetable, something that's not cooked, like greens, mustard greens, something like that, or it's fermented. So it helps your digestion, improves it that way. So an example of that is kombucha, is sauerkraut, is what else? Kimchi. There's a whole lot of fermented foods that are incredible for your digestion. So that's really a win meal, is to include all 3 of those, and they can overlap. A couple examples that I'm going to give you is like salmon and squash and avocado, and maybe something fermented or alive, sauerkraut or a kombucha or something alongside that. Or like a chicken stir fry. You have your chicken for protein, and then you have red, yellow, green peppers. That's your complex carbohydrate. And then coconut oil would be great. And then maybe putting some fresh herbs on top of that, something living, some fresh cilantro. That would be a digestive. Okay. Let's talk about sleep again, winding down at night. So at night, you want to have a sleep signal. You want to dim the lights. This is what I do. Dim the lights, read or journal. Have something that signals your body it's time to go to sleep, and your body will naturally do that. It'll naturally put you into this sleep state, the sleep cycle. So I want to hear what you guys think about eating before bed. Do you think it's good to eat right before bed? And I want to open up the chat. If you guys can find where the chat box is. And I want you to write good or bad if you think it's good to eat right before bed or if you think it's bad to eat right before bed. So just click that in and push send or push enter. I'll give you a couple minutes here. All right. I see a couple goods. I see a couple bads. Sure. Okay. So yeah, it's actually harmful, or it's better to not eat before bed because, or not right before bed anyway, because it decreases your melatonin. Melatonin puts you into this sleep state. And it also, as melatonin is decreased, it decreases your human growth hormone, which is your fountain of youth. It's released about after 10 or 11 p.m. before midnight. So eating before bed can actually put you in a less deep sleep, can prevent deeper sleep, and it can lower the amount of growth hormone that is released. And even a small amount of light, so talking about night lights and even like an alarm clock, which I have in my room, that shining and having like a light coming in from your window can actually keep your cortisol level higher than normal. And that can decrease your melatonin, and down with melatonin goes your human growth hormone. So that's something interesting. And as we talked about, cortisol is not all bad. You need cortisol, and as human growth hormone is released really in the early part of your sleep before midnight, your cortisol is released in the second half of your sleep. So thinking about the times that it's released is at 2 a.m. There's a small burst of cortisol, and then at 4 a.m., and then again at 6 a.m. So those 3 times. And if, say you're not getting to bed until 1 a.m., then your body is already kicking in this cortisol at 2 a.m., and you're not really getting the most restful amount of sleep, because cortisol is kind of like this wake up, time to get ready. It's kind of amping you up for the day. So that's why it's so important to get to bed, at 10 o'clock or before midnight for sure, so that you can get the most restful part of your sleep. And then tight clothing. This was interesting. Tight clothing can actually affect your body temperature, right? So it can increase your body temperature. And what you want is for your body to cool down at night. That's why it's good to sleep in a cool environment. But a high body temperature can prevent melatonin, and down with melatonin goes your human growth hormone once again. So really be sure to sleep in really loose clothing, turn off all lights, and yes, get to bed before midnight. All right, so let's talk about traffic now. Traffic in your bloodstream and oxygen delivery. Feel free, if you guys have any questions, if I'm covering anything too fast, if you want more information, feel free to type in the chat box and let me know what you want me to re-go over or any questions about any of this. So the perfect energy day again. So your bloodstream is like traffic, and it delivers oxygen to every cell in your body. Every cell in your body needs oxygen to make energy for that cell, okay? So there's this analogy about most people's bloodstreams are like LA traffic. And if you think about LA traffic at rush hour, it's crazy. You cannot get through, you can't get anywhere. And your red blood cells are actually what carries the oxygen in your bloodstream to your cells. And when you eat acidic foods, when you eat a SAD, Standard American Diet, that's what that stands for, the way that those foods are metabolized, like processed foods, copious amounts of dairy, flour, those types of foods, the way they're metabolized makes them acidic. And that actually has scientifically, they've proven that it alters your red blood cells, that your red blood cells actually end up sticking together. They're like the taxi cabs. And so oxygen is not getting to your cells. So focusing on plant-based foods, a lot of alkaline foods, and there's a list here for you guys to see what's acid, what's alkaline. What's really cool about this is that they actually have found microscopic changes in the blood where eating acidic foods, they can take a blood sample and see that your red blood cells are sticking together and that there's less oxygen transportation. And then vice versa, eating a whole bunch of alkaline foods like greens and vegetables and sea vegetables, and how oxygen is being transported so much faster to your cells. And that has a huge correlation to your energy. Your cells need oxygen to create energy, remember. All right, so some strategies. Eating for all day energy. This is just what has worked for me, is eating more liquefied foods, because your body only has so much energy, and your blood flow is either going to go to your brain or to the rest of the body, to your gut. And if you think about like a Thanksgiving meal and you're eating heavy meal like potatoes or a lot of meat, think about stuffing and all those yummy, good carb foods. That weighs your body down because all of the blood is being diverted to your gut to digest everything. So if you think about having all day energy, you want to really slow down that process, and you want blood flow to continually be going to your brain, right? So that you can have mental clarity and be getting things done and feel energized. So eating more liquefied foods and like green shakes, and when I say juices, I mean vegetable juices, not fruit juices. The fruit juices can actually spike your blood sugar levels, which will make you tired in the long run. So juicing vegetables like cucumbers and kale and carrots, maybe a little bit of beet, ginger, lemon, putting all those into a juice is great. Also green shake or really good protein shake. It's very bioavailable to the body, and your body doesn't have to utilize a lot of energy to digest it. So you will actually have more mental clarity and more energy to move around and to really, get a workout in, and to really plug into what you need to get done that day. Also vegetables, because of that alkalizing component. And when you really understand the oxygenation that's happening in your body, it makes you want to eat more vegetables. And when you experience the power of juices and green shakes on your energy, it makes you want to consume those even more, because you understand the way that you're getting more oxygen, you're alkalizing your body, and that's essentially what alkalizing means, is getting that oxygen to your body. So I talked about alkalization, enzymes, of course. When you're eating living foods, they have enzymes which make all of the biochemical reactions in your body happen. So you think about, your mind and synapses and your digestion and really extracting the proteins and carbs and everything from what you eat. That all requires enzymes, and vegetables and living foods, juices, green shakes have enzymes, living enzymes. And they also have water content. And then, as a lot of people know, dehydration can be a big reason for tiredness. So including more vegetables for that reason. And then lastly, fasting is something I've been learning a lot about. Just one day a week, just start with that. And I'm not going to lie, it's going to be difficult the first time, but the biggest benefit comes at 18 hours. So say you eat supper and then you sleep through the night and then you fast until, mid-afternoon or maybe like supper time. And the mental clarity comes 18 to 24 hours after. And it's like, especially for like entrepreneurs, people who have their own business, people who have to put their creative passion into their work, you actually have this like mental breakthrough and clarity and creativeness that comes into effect really at that 18-hour mark. That's when the biggest benefits are seen. And they did an interesting study on monkeys where they had one group of monkeys ate 30% less calories than another group, and they looked so much younger because it actually keeps these coding. The ends of your genes have something called telomeres, and fasting actually helps to keep those telomeres long, so it preserves your youthfulness and really your life, which is fascinating research. So fasting is actually can help your energy one day a week because it gives your body a break and it helps it to restore and recalibrate. All right, so some afternoon slump energizing foods. Let's go through this. We talked about veggie juices, a green shake, a packet of greens, kind of like what I had showed you before, what I take. B vitamins can help as long as I wouldn't want to consume them with caffeine necessarily. Beets are incredible because they help to carry more oxygen to the brain, which can help you think better. Beets have scientifically been proven to help athletes by bringing more oxygen to their muscles and to their body. So beets are extraordinary. Bee pollen is this incredible food that most people don't even know about. And it has protein. It's like 60 to 70% protein in its dry weight. And it has enzymes, so it helps energize your body and make those biochemical reactions happen. It has vitamins, it has minerals. It doesn't even have to be refrigerated. It's transportable. It's just this incredible superfood to utilize and will help boost your energy. It can be like a quick pick-me-up. And then if that doesn't help, try some, like supplementing enzymes, or usually a good first step is to just include more foods that have enzymes, but sometimes people find it helps to take enzymes additional to that. And then a quick run, stretch, or nap if that's possible. And you can see this little picture on the side here, the upbeat, the downbeat, the sick beat, and the dead beat. Life is awesome. Okay, so let's jump into mindset. Here, what are we at? 50 minutes. Okay, wonderful. So I want to tell you about this new concept that I've come up with. It's called a dream plan. And pursuing a new dream plan in this new year. So this is going to be a new Twitter, Facebook, Instagram hashtag. You guys feel free to use it in any way that you wish. And essentially what this means is it's creating your dream. What is in mind of your dream life? What is your health, your relationship, your finances, your mindset? Things that you want to make happen or do in your life, and then creating a plan to get there. And there's this discussion that I love about goals and values. And goals are more long-term. It's more things that you can say yes or no to, whereas values are things that you can sustain. They're things that you can be on a daily basis. So an example of that is my values today are to exude warmth to people that I'm around, to build others up. My values today are to do the best work that I can possibly do. My values today are to treat my body and steward it well, versus a goal is a more long-term thing, like by 27, I want to graduate medical school and buy a house. So just the difference in those. But really, we need dreams, but we need plans in order to make them happen. And the reason why the goals versus values really stuck out to me is that we don't want to be too heavy in either of them. We want to have goals, we want to have values. But if we don't have the values and we don't really know what the values are and we haven't clearly identified those for ourselves, the values actually help us get to the goals. So it's the who I'm going to be on a daily basis to create the dream plan, to create the life that I want to have, to create the finances. I value, saving what I have. I value my relationships, so I'm not going to, make this harmful move. I value my health, so I'm not going to have the donut that got offered to me. I value, just different things in your life that you value and who you are on a daily basis. And also this idea of good, better, best. So creating goals that are like a good, better, best version. And I found this really freeing because sometimes we make these goals that are super lofty and sometimes we don't realize how long it'll take. And it allows you some margin. So like a goal for your health or exercise. So a good goal is to maybe work out 3 days a week. Better, is 4 days a week and then to add yoga in there. Best is to like consistently be doing yoga and working out 4 to 5 days a week and maybe going in the sauna 1 day a week or something like that. So it's like so that you don't hit this point of I'm a failure, I lost what I said I was going to do. And really being realistic with your schedule and building up to a place that you're living out your values on a daily basis, but that it's not this ultimate fail or succeed in creating a yes or no goal. All right, so integrating your dream plan. This is really interesting. The word integrate. Two of the definitions I listed here. One is to combine one thing with another so that they become whole. And that's really interesting. I think about like supplementation when I think about that. is adding a supplement to our diet because we're not getting enough of it in some other form, or thinking about our body as a whole, thinking about who we are as a whole person. And then another definition of integrate is to bring people or groups with particular characteristics or needs into equal participation in or membership of a social group or institution. And when I think of this, I think of like family. I think of a group setting, a situation where collaboration is needed and where you're either part of your family or a church community or whatever that may look like for you, but really be integrative in your life so that you become whole. And integration, this is fascinating, shares the root of the word integrity. So living a life of integrity means like being whole, making your life whole. And to be a whole person, you have 4 rooms that are in that. This is just an analogy. You're a person, you have 4 rooms. One is a physical room, emotional room, a spiritual room, and a mental room. And on a daily basis, you want to engage in all of those because it embraces and encaptures your full humanness when you're doing that. It's like turning on each part of like being fully alive on a daily basis and being whole. And then also health comes from the root word of whole. It's talking about wholeness, being a whole person, mentally, physically, spiritually, every way, holistic medicine. So how to integrate this. This is a written exercise that I encourage you guys to do on your own time. So what does your perfect day look like? And I gave you what my perfect day looks like energy-wise. But what does it look like for you? It's probably going to look a little bit different than mine. But what would you do when you first wake up? Like if you were to be optimally happy on a day, like just think about the most ideal situation. What would that look like for you? Would you have your partner that was there? Would you wake up and make breakfast? Would you, have a time where you journal and meditate in the morning? What would you do? Would you, what would make it an optimal day that would make you balanced as an individual? And then that's a part of your dream plan, is to make your perfect day happen. So I encourage you, after this webinar is done, to write that out. And I did that, and it was really powerful to think about what could be possible and to really work to make your day fit what would make you most happy and what would really balance you. And then another principle that we talk about in naturopathic medicine is obstacles to cure. So what area of your life is lacking? Is it your diet, your exercise, your thought life? Maybe you need more fun in your life. And a big part of your health is being fulfilled in your daily work. I know that's been a big one for me. And then spiritually, where are you at? Like what belief do you have about the future and about your own soul and the purpose that you serve in the world? And so the premise behind obstacles to cure is getting those things out of your life that are hindering you from really living the life that you want to live. And that relates to just this perfect day idea, like having and creating a dream plan, an optimal way to live for your own vitality. Putting emphasis on, creating this life that you love and being integrative and whole in your entire life. Also, a to-be list. Successful people create a to-be list. And I encourage you to do this sometime, maybe after the webinar or in your free time. Create a to-be list, something that you want to be. And this goes back to your values and your goals. Who do you want to be on a daily basis? Because those values and the to-be list will carry you to the goals, the overall goals. We become very goal heavy, especially around this time of year. But to really integrate the values and who we want to be on a daily basis. I want to be loving. I want to be uplifting. I want to be someone who's continually growing and learning and pursuing. And that's a really great exercise and kind of helps to direct your life and your energy on a daily basis, because your actions will come out of what you want to be. If you want to be healthy and strong, your actions will reflect that as well. And there's this idea and a concept that Lululemon, I think that's how you say it, came up with. And it talks about giving presence, being fully there, and really engaging in your life in an incredible way. And your to-be list helps you do that. Who do I want to be? I want to be fully engaged. I want to totally enjoy this day. All right, so productivity hacking, yes. This is interesting stuff. Context switching, focusing. So the definition of that is focusing on multiple projects at once. And when you do that, your productivity tanks. So you're switching back and forth between certain projects. And I'll give you an example. For me, I'm working on writing a paper for class. And then I go check my email. And then I run and get some water. And then I go back to the paper. And then I grab a bite of food, and then I go back to the paper, and then I get a phone call or I send a text message, and then I go back to the paper. And you can see that that is not an efficient way to work. And there's an interesting study that was done by Harold Pashlor, and he had one group push a button when the light came on, and the second group had to push that same button. The light flashed on, they had to push a button, and then they had to push a second button based on the color of light. So if it was red, green, or blue or something, they had to press a second button. And what they found is that second group that had to push a second button, it took them twice as long to push that second button in response time as it did to push the first button for them. So what that means is that when you're constantly switching back and forth between tasks, you can lose up to 80% of your productivity and your efficiency in your work. It's called dual task interference, that you're doing two tasks at once. And it compromises your focus, really, because it makes you feel like you're not getting anything done. And the problem is that you constantly have to come back and think, what was I doing with this again? Where was I going with this? And you have to reconnect with what project you were actually trying to finish and what you were thinking of doing in that. So to eliminate context switching in our life and really focus and hone in on one task, and this is something that I am working and reworking in my life and as far as completing assignments, but you ever realize how easy it is if you just set aside 45 minutes or something and you give yourself a deadline, say, I have 45 minutes, I'm going to finish this, and you get it done, and you're totally glued, especially when you have a deadline. I mean, you aren't distracted, all the distractions are out the window, and you just zone in and hone in on that. So how to maximize your daily routine for mental clarity. This is an interesting concept to have like a 5-pack or a 7-pack in the morning. Things, tasks that you can do that take 5 minutes or less to complete. So an example is I'm going to brush my teeth, I'm going to take my vitamins, I'm going to drink water, I'm going to wash my face, and then meditate. And those all take less than 5 minutes. And you can do them all at the same time or in the same space. So things that you can do without having to keep switching rooms. So one of the things for me getting ready in the morning is going from the kitchen to the bathroom to the bedroom to the kitchen to turn off my breakfast into the bathroom, and it actually ends up being less efficient. So creating and writing out like 5 things that I want to wake up and do in the morning. First, I'm going to make my bed, first thing. And then I'm going to go into the bathroom, wash my face, brush my teeth, and really being streamlined with your time in your life so that you're not dashing back and forth. It goes back to the context switching idea. And then also making 3 main objectives for the day. I think the brain kind of taps out after 3. Like when you make a list of 10, 12 things to do, your mind's like, gosh, I forgot. But 3 main objectives that you want to get done that would make you feel like it was a successful day to accomplish those 3. Tape that to the wall. Sometimes what I do is put it on a Post-it note, put it on the back of your phone, put it on your laptop if you see that, and most importantly, written down, because when you write it down, there's just different neural connections, and there's a better memory tied to it, in my personal experience. And then the power of mindset and meditation. So utilizing that downtime. When you're in the shower, I highly recommend, this sounds really silly, but talk to yourself and talk to yourself about how the day's going to go, that you're so excited for this day, and I can't wait to be effective and get this day done, and what I'm so looking forward to, and really meditate about what you want to create in that day and who you want to be. Go back to the to be list. Okay, so we're winding to a close here. Some action steps. Invest in yourself first. Getting the sleep, getting the exercise, drinking enough water, alkalizing your body, because those things, when you're properly energized, there's nothing that can take you down, guys. I mean, it's just like a supercharged power to you when you're functioning optimally and in full health. And you can be productive and effective in your day, and I think it helps you be more efficient with your time when you feel well. And those daily wins. So what I mean by that is at the end of the day, writing down, I'm so proud of myself, or I'm so happy of what I chose to do. I chose to eat this for lunch, and I felt so energized after I did that. Or, I chose to give myself 10 minutes where I just wrote out my thoughts and prayed about this day, or, it could be prayer, meditation, whatever that is for you. And I'm so proud of myself for doing that. I'm so happy that I did that, because it altered the course of my day, and really connecting those activities that you did in the day that altered and influenced you in a positive way, and reinforcing them and being grateful for them at the end of the day. So that's called a daily win. And then some action steps for you. I have a weekly email that I'm going to send out through my website called Thrive Plus Well. So sign up for that. I'm going to send out tons of interesting information, stuff like what I've shared in this webinar. It's going to be awesome. So you're welcome to join as a part of that. And then stay tuned for some YouTube clips. I'm going to be creating some templates and more webinars. So the good stuff is just getting going here. And here is a little bit about me. I am a Doctor of Naturopathic Medicine candidate. And here's the website. I would love for you guys to check it out. Follow me on Twitter, on Instagram, and please forward me any questions. I would love to connect with you, hear your feedback. Tell me one thing that stuck out with you, one thing that you really want to incorporate in your life, and just things that you're learning in your own health and well-being. I would love to hear feedback from you guys. So I'm going to leave you with this quote that I love. Excellent quote. It says, work as much on your life as you work in your life. So with that, we're going to end the webinar. Thank you guys all for attending, and I just acknowledge you for taking the time for your own personal growth today and your own learning, and really taking that time for yourself. And I can tell that because you signed up for this webinar that you're a seeker and that you want to grow, and that this is going to be an extraordinary year for you in being deliberate and being efficient and productive. And I'm so proud of you for taking that time today. So with that, we're going to close the webinar, and please check out my website, and love to connect with you in the